Listen up, you cosmic comedians and interstellar jokesters, because I've got a tale that'll make your tentacles twist and your antennae tingle. Picture this. A universe where humans are the new kids on the galactic block, and everyone else is still trying to figure out whether we're adorable pets or complete disasters. Spoiler alert, it's a little bit of both. Now gather around the quantum campfire and let me tell you about the day the galaxy learned the hard way why you should never make a human angry. And no, I'm not talking about being mildly annoyed or a bit peeved. I'm talking about full-on Hulk smash levels of rage. The kind of fury that makes supernovas look like sparklers and black holes seem like kiddie pools. Our story begins on Xenon 7, a bustling space station that serves as a melting pot for species from all corners of the cosmos. It's your typical scene, Vrathians haggling over the price of dark matter while juggling their 7 appendages, trying and failing to eat spaghetti. And then, of course, there are the humans, being human. Enter our protagonist, Ethan Collins, your average Earth guy. He's of average height with an average build, and is generally the definition of ordinary. Except, of course, for his extraordinary ability to land in the most ridiculous situations this side of the Andromeda Galaxy. For the past 3 years, Ethan had worked as a cultural liaison on Xenon 7, trying to teach aliens about human customs while, more often than not, failing to prevent intergalactic incidents. This particular day, though, he was on his way to the station's medical bay for his annual checkup. Now you might be thinking, a checkup? How boring. But hold on to your space britches, folks, because this is where our comedy of errors really picks up. As Ethan walked into the med bay, he was greeted by Dr. Lyra Veron, a Solvac with 6 eyes and a bedside manner so cold, it made cryogenic freezing seem like a warm hug. Ah, the human specimen, she chittered, her mandibles clicking in what could only be described as a peculiar form of excitement. Please disrobe and lie on the examination table. Ethan, who had gotten used to the awkwardness of alien medical procedures, sighed and complied. Just remember, Doc, he quipped. Dinner and a movie next time. Dr. Lyra blinked in confusion. I do not understand. We are not consuming sustenance or viewing entertainment. This is a medical examination. It's a joke, Doc, Ethan explained, lying down on the cold metal table. You know, humor. The thing humans do to make life less well, like this. Ah, yes, Dr. Lyra replied, nodding sagely. Your species' peculiar habit of vocalizing falsehoods for amusement. Fascinating and utterly pointless. With that, the examination began. What followed was a series of increasingly bizarre and uncomfortable tests. Ethan was poked, prodded, scanned, and, at one point, briefly turned inside out, for a simple density test, Dr. Lyra assured him. As Ethan lay there, feeling like a human-shaped stress ball, he couldn't help but wonder if he should have just stayed on Earth. Sure, the job paid well and the view of the galaxy was unbeatable, but was it really worth being treated like a science experiment gone wrong? His musings were interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Lyra's assistant, a gelatinous blob named Zelthar. Yes, really. Apparently, imagination wasn't a strong suit for a species that communicated through interpretive jiggling. Dr. Zelthar burbled, its translucent body rippling with excitement. The results of the human tests are most peculiar. Dr. Lyra's antennae perked up. Oh, do tell, Zelthar. What have you discovered about our fleshy friend? Ethan rolled his eyes. You know I can hear you, right? I'm right here. But the 2 aliens were too busy to listen. They huddled over a holographic display of Ethan's body, chattering excitedly. Their voices grew louder, punctuated by occasional gasps and what suspiciously sounded like giggles. Excuse me, Ethan called out, his patience wearing thin. Mind filling me in on what's so fascinating about my insides? Dr. Lyra turned to him, her 6 eyes wide with wonder. Human Ethan, we have made a most remarkable discovery. It seems your species possesses a hidden organ we've never encountered before. Ethan blinked. A hidden organ, like a secret spleen or something? No, much more exciting. Zelthar jiggled enthusiastically. We believe we've discovered the source of your species' infamous anger response. Now, dear listeners, this is where things really started to go off the rails. For all their years of studying humans, the galactic scientific community had never quite figured out our anger. They'd observed it, sure, usually right before running away screaming, but they'd never understood where it came from or why it existed. Ethan sat up, suddenly very interested and honestly very concerned. Wait, what? You think you found the source of human anger? That's not a thing. Anger isn't caused by an organ. But Dr. Lyra was already in full lecture mode. Observe, human Ethan, she said, pulling up a 3D model of his body. This small, previously undetected gland near your adrenal system, we believe it secretes a potent cocktail of hormones and neurotransmitters that trigger your species' berserker rage. Ethan stared at the hologram, then back at the two excited aliens. That's not how it works at all. It's an emotion, not some kind of rage gland. But his protests fell on deaf ears, or whatever passed for ears in Zelthar's case. The two aliens were too busy congratulating themselves on their groundbreaking discovery. Just think of the implications, Dr. Lyra exclaimed. We could potentially control human anger, no more unpredictable outbursts, no more terrifying displays of strength and aggression. Yes, Zelthar jiggled in agreement. We could make humans safe for the rest of the galaxy. And that, my friends, is when Ethan felt something bubbling up inside him, something hot, fierce, and decidedly not produced by any mythical rage gland. Now hold on just a damn minute, he growled, swinging his legs off the examination table. You can't just decide to neuter an entire species based on some half-baked theory. Dr. Lyra waved a dismissive appendage. Oh, human Ethan, you needn't worry. The procedure will be quite painless. We'll simply remove the gland and... Ethan roared, his face turning an impressive shade of red. You are not removing anything from me or any other human. The two aliens watched in fascination as Ethan's anger visibly grew. Dr. Lyra's antennae quivered with excitement. Fascinating, Zelthar. Are you recording this? We're witnessing a live demonstration of human rage. Ethan took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. Listen, he said through gritted teeth. There is no anger gland. Humans get angry for lots of reasons, like being treated like lab rats or having aliens threaten to remove body parts without consent. But Dr. Lyra and Zelthar were too caught up in their discovery to listen. They began discussing potential experiments, treatments, and, most alarmingly, a galaxy-wide program to fix humans. That was the last straw. With a roar that would have made a lion proud, Ethan leapt off the table. In one smooth motion, Ethan shot off the examination table, grabbed the holographic projector, and sent it flying across the room. It crashed into the wall, erupting into a shower of sparks. Dr. Lyra and Zelthar froze, their alien features twisting into expressions of shock and fear. Sure, they'd seen humans angry from a distance, but never like this, never this close. Listen here, you oversized bug and sentient jello blob, Ethan snapped, his finger jabbing fiercely toward the now terrified aliens. Humans don't have some magic anger switch you can just turn off. We get pissed off when we're treated unfairly, when we're scared, or when some well-meaning but completely clueless aliens decide they can mess with our biology. He paused, letting the words sink in, and then softened his tone just a little, feeling a flicker of guilt. Look, I get it. You think you're trying to help? But you can't just change a species without their consent. What if humans decided that your antennae wiggling was dangerous and needed to be fixed? Dr. Lyra's antennae drooped, her voice faltering. But our research is flawed? Ethan cut in, finishing her sentence. You're treating anger like it's some kind of defect, but it's not. It's part of who we are. Yeah, sometimes it can be destructive, but it also drives us to right wrongs, protect the vulnerable, and make a difference. Zelthar, still trembling in the corner, inched forward, its gelatinous body oozing with uncertainty. But human anger is so terrifying. We've witnessed the destruction it can cause, Ethan sighed, the intensity of his anger slowly fading away. Yeah, it's scary. Hell, we're sometimes scared of it too, but it's saved our asses more times than I can count. You really think we made it to the stars by being all sunshine and rainbows? Sometimes you need a little righteous anger to break through what seems impossible. Dr. Lyra blinked rapidly, processing this revelation. I believe I understand now. We may have been too hasty in our conclusions. You think? Ethan chuckled dryly. How about we try this again? Instead of trying to fix humans, why don't we focus on understanding each other better? I promise, we're not all raging berserkers most of the time. And that, my friends, is how Ethan Collins, an average guy from Earth, prevented a galactic medical disaster and taught a valuable lesson about human nature, all while standing there in a flimsy hospital gown. Let's be real. Nothing drives your point home quite like arguing ethics while your backside is hanging out. In the weeks that followed, Xenon 7 saw some major shifts. Dr. Lyra and Zelthar, shaken by their near-catastrophic error, dove headfirst into studying human psychology and emotions. They hosted seminars, set up cultural exchange programs, and even created a support group for aliens working with humans. The first meeting? So your human colleague is hangry, a survival guide. As for Ethan, he became something of a local celebrity. Aliens would stop him in the halls, begging for demonstrations of various human emotions. He lost count of how many times he had to explain that, no, he couldn't turn purple with rage on command. And yes, humans really did leak saline solution from their eyes when feeling intense emotions. The real breakthrough came about a month after the infamous rage gland debacle. Dr. Lyra urgently called Ethan to the med bay, and Ethan, fearing yet another misunderstanding and double-checking that he was, in fact, wearing pants this time, rushed over. He found Dr. Lyra and Zelthar huddled around a holographic display, but this time their body language was different. Excited, but not in the "we're about to commit xenobiological malpractice" kind of way. "Human Ethan," Dr. Lyra chittered, her voice almost vibrating with enthusiasm. "We've made a real breakthrough in understanding your species." Ethan raised an eyebrow and cautiously approached. "Oh, really? Did you find the sarcasm spleen?" Zelthar jiggled as if in laughter. "Your use of humorous falsehoods is improving, human Ethan. But no, we've discovered something much more fascinating." Dr. Lyra pulled up a complex diagram of the human brain. "We've been studying the neurological and hormonal processes behind human emotions, and we've come to a stunning realization. Your anger, your joy, your sadness, they're all interconnected in ways we never imagined." Ethan leaned in, intrigued. "Go on." Dr. Lyra continued, her antennae buzzing with excitement. "In many species, emotions are simple reactions to stimuli. But in humans, emotions are part of a complex feedback loop. Your anger doesn't just protect you, it can drive you to right wrongs. Your sadness doesn't just signal loss, it can deepen your empathy. And your joy. Yeah, we call it dancing and singing," Ethan interrupted. "It's pretty self-explanatory." Dr. Lyra looked pleased with herself. "Ah, yes, fascinating rituals. But the point is, we were wrong to try to isolate or remove any single emotion. They're all integral to what makes humans, well, human." A grin spread across Ethan's face. "Well, I'll be damned. You guys really did your homework," Zelthar burbled proudly. "We even conducted a station-wide survey on human emotional responses. Did you know that 73% of aliens find human laughter delightful but mildly terrifying?" Ethan laughed. "Only 73%? You're slipping. So what's next? Planning to publish a paper on the mystery of human emotions?" he asked, grinning. Dr. Lyra's 6 eyes twinkled with excitement. "Actually, we were hoping you could help us with something a bit more practical." And so, that's how Ethan found himself standing before a room full of aliens from across the galaxy, teaching a seminar called Humans 101, a guide to not getting punched, hugged, or accidentally married. As he looked out at the sea of curious faces, tentacles, and sensory organs, Ethan couldn't help but chuckle. Here he was, an average guy from Earth, playing ambassador for humanity. It was absurd, terrifying, and absolutely wonderful. "All right, folks," he clapped his hands together. "Let's start with the basics. Humans are a lot like those Terran creatures called cats. We're cute, cuddly, and will absolutely wreck your furniture if you piss us off. Any questions so far?" A forest of tentacles, pincers, and what looked suspiciously like a levitating brain in a jar shot up. Ethan grinned. This was going to be fun. Over the next few hours, Ethan answered questions ranging from the mundane, why do humans insist on covering their bodies with fabric, to the bizarre, is it true that humans can detach their limbs at will? He explained the complexities of human social behavior. the importance of personal space, especially in elevators, and more. For the love of everything that's sacred, never ask a human woman if she's just stating something unless you're absolutely, positively sure. But the most fascinating questions, always, revolved around human emotions. A shy Andromedan with glowing tentacles raised asked, "Human Ethan, is it true your species experiences something called love? Our researchers find the concept utterly perplexing." Ethan scratched his head, clearly bracing for this one. "Oh boy, that's a big one," he muttered, considering his answer. "Well, imagine the warmest, fuzziest feeling you've ever had, multiply it by 1,000, and then throw in a generous helping of terror, plus a little pinch of insanity. That's love." The aliens murmured amongst themselves, trying to digest it. Clearly, they weren't quite following. Ethan sighed. "Okay, let me try again. Love it's like when your entire being is laser-focused on another person. You live for their happiness. You want to protect them, be with them all the time. And yeah, it can drive you to do some seriously crazy stuff, like crossing an entire galaxy just to see them smile, or charging into a fight with space pirates to keep them safe." A Thrylax, sitting in the back row, buzzed its wings with a skeptical hum. "This love sounds like a serious malfunction. Is it contagious?" Ethan snorted with laughter. "Well, in a way, yeah. But trust me, it's a malfunction worth having." As the seminar went on, Ethan found himself diving deeper into the complexities of human emotions. He explained the bittersweet nature of nostalgia, the fierce protectiveness of family bonds, and the simple joy that comes from a well-timed joke. "And that brings us to humor," Ethan said, rubbing his hands together. "Now, I know many of you find human laughter a little unsettling, but trust me, it's not a precursor to attack usually." A timid Kreenar, rising slowly, extended a pseudopod. "Human Ethan, how can we tell the difference between happy laughter and the other kind?" Ethan thought for a moment before responding. "Well, if the human's face is red, they're gasping for air, and there's tears streaming down their face. They're either laughing really hard, or they're about to explode in rage. Context is key, folks." The room erupted into a flurry of alien noises, which Ethan had now come to recognize as laughter. He grinned, feeling a warmth spreading in his chest. This was why he'd signed up for this wild job in the first place. The connection, the bridge between species. As the seminar began winding down, Ethan opened the floor to final questions. A tall, willowy creature, something between a praying mantis and a sunflower, stood up. "Human Ethan," it said in a melodic voice, "we've learned much about your species' capacity for complex emotions, but there is one thing I still don't understand. Given all these intense feelings, how do humans maintain stability? How do you not just tear yourselves apart?" Ethan whistled low, impressed. Now that's the million-credit question, isn't it? He paused, his voice softening. "The truth is, we don't always manage it. Sometimes our emotions overwhelm us. We fight, we hurt each other, and yeah, we make mistakes." The aliens leaned in, hanging on his every word. "But here's the thing," Ethan continued, his voice growing more sincere. "Those same emotions that can tear us apart, they're also what bring us together. Our anger means we can fight for what's right. Our sadness means we can understand others' pain. And our ability to feel joy? Well, that's the reason we keep going. The thing that makes life worth living." He paused, looking around at the sea of alien faces. Some looked confused, others intrigued, but every one of them was listening intently. "We humans are a mess of contradictions," Ethan said with a chuckle. "We're capable of incredible kindness and unimaginable cruelty. We can build wonders and tear them down just as fast. But at the end of the day, I think it's our emotions, all of them, the good and the bad, that make us who we are. They're our greatest weakness and our greatest strength." The room fell quiet for a moment, each alien lost in thought. Then, slowly, a ripple of understanding seemed to pass through the crowd. Tentacles waved, antennae twitched, and bioluminescent patterns flashed, which Ethan had learned to recognize as signs of appreciation. As the seminar wrapped up, Ethan was surrounded by aliens eager to share their thoughts, discuss their own emotional experiences, or simply express newfound understanding of their human neighbors. Dr. Lyra and Zelthar made their way through the crowd, practically buzzing with excitement. "Human Ethan?" Dr. Lyra chirped, her mandibles clicking rapidly. "That was extraordinary! I believe we've made more progress in understanding human psychology in the past few hours than in the last decade of research." Zelthar jiggled with enthusiasm. "Indeed, and the implications for interspecies relations are staggering. Think of the potential for improved diplomacy, cultural exchange, even intergalactic friendship." Ethan grinned, a mix of pride and exhaustion settling in. He stifled a yawn, feeling that peculiar human emotion best described as desperate need of a beer. "Well, I'm glad it was helpful," he said, "though I gotta admit, explaining the entire human emotional spectrum is thirsty work. Anyone up for a drink at the Neutron Star Bar?" The suggestion was met with enthusiastic agreement. Aliens, all eager to observe human social behavior in a more relaxed setting, followed him out. As they made their way to the bar, Ethan couldn't help but marvel at how far his life had come. Here he was, light years away from Earth, surrounded by creatures that looked like they'd been conjured in a fever dream, yet they were all eager to understand what made humans tick. The Neutron Star Bar was, as usual, a riot of colors, sounds, and smells that could put any Earth nightclub to shame. Bioluminescent aliens pulsed in sync with the otherworldly music, while bartenders with far too many arms mixed drinks that defied every law of physics. As Ethan settled into a booth with Dr. Lyra, Zelthar, and a few other aliens from the seminar, he felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Sure, there was still a long road ahead for human-alien relations, but they had taken a real step forward. A genuine, honest-to-goodness start. "So," Ethan said, raising his glass of what looked like liquid starlight and smelled faintly of cinnamon. "Who wants to learn about the human custom of toasting?" The next few hours were a blur of questions, laughter, and more than a few cultural misunderstandings. Ethan explained everything from the concept of small talk, which horrified the telepathic species present, to the intricate rituals of human mating practices, which both fascinated and terrified everyone. As the night wore on and drinks flowed freely, some quite literally in the case of the liquid methane cocktails favored by the Plutonian delegation, the atmosphere became more relaxed. Aliens who had been hesitant to approach humans were now swapping stories and jokes with Ethan and the few other Earthlings present. It was well past midnight by station time when Ethan finally begged off, citing exhaustion. As Ethan stumbled back to his quarters, swaying a little and grinning like an idiot, a strange sense of realization began to creep in. Something important had just happened. Sure, they hadn't fixed all the galaxy's problems in a single night. Humans were still going to be viewed as unpredictable and potentially dangerous by many species, but real progress had been made. Tangible, undeniable progress. Collapsing onto his bed, his head spinning from a mix of alien alcohol and the events of the day, Ethan let out a soft chuckle. Who could have imagined that his infamous temper, the very thing that had nearly gotten him kicked out of the cultural liaison program, would end up being the spark for a breakthrough in human-alien relations? "Life really is funny," Ethan mused as he closed his eyes and let sleep overtake him. "Sometimes your biggest flaw turns out to be your greatest strength, and sometimes, just sometimes, losing your cool is exactly what needs to happen." The next morning, or whatever passed for morning on a space station, Ethan awoke to the relentless beeping of his comm unit. Groaning, nursing a hangover that felt like it had crossed several star systems, he fumbled around for the device. "Collins here," he groaned, cringing at the sound of his own voice. "Human Ethan." Dr. Lyra's cheerful chittering pierced through the fog in his head like a laser beam, sending sharp pangs of pain straight through his skull. "Wonderful news! The Galactic Council has reviewed the footage from yesterday's seminar, along with the social interactions that followed. They're impressed with the progress we've made in human-alien relations." Ethan shot up, suddenly wide awake. "Wait, what? The Galactic Council? As in the big bosses? The ones who run the galaxy?" "Yes, indeed!" Dr. Lyra's excitement practically buzzed through the comm. They're proposing a galaxy-wide initiative to improve understanding of human emotions and culture, and they want you to lead it. Ethan blinked in disbelief. He had to be dreaming. Wait, me, but I'm just a guy. You're the perfect candidate, human Ethan. Zelthar's voice burbled with enthusiasm. Your ability to explain complex human ideas in ways everyone can relate to, and let's not forget your, what was it? Smartass charm makes you uniquely suited for this role. Ethan couldn't help but burst out laughing. Here he was, half drunk, barely conscious, and being offered what amounted to a galactic ambassadorship, all because he'd exploded with rage and then somehow made a compelling case for why that wasn't always a bad thing. So, human Ethan, Dr. Lyra asked, her voice practically vibrating with excitement. What do you say? Are you ready to teach the galaxy about the beautifully chaotic world of human emotions? Ethan grinned, already imagining the crazy adventures and inevitable misunderstandings in his future. Doc, Zelthar, you've got a deal. But fair warning, this human runs on caffeine. We're going to need to figure out how to synthesize coffee, or this might get really interesting. Really fast. After ending the call, Ethan flopped back onto his bed, still shaking his head in disbelief. Who would have thought that the secret to humanity's place in the galactic community would be embracing their emotional nature rather than suppressing it? This was going to be one hell of a ride. But then again, that's what being human was all about. Feeling every damn thing, riding the emotional roller coaster, and somehow coming out stronger on the other side. And hey, he chuckled to himself, if I can teach a few aliens the fine art of sarcasm along the way, well, that's just the cherry on top of this cosmic sundae. As he drifted back to sleep, a silly grin still on his face, Ethan couldn't help but think, the galaxy better watch out. Humans were coming, and they were bringing all their messy, beautiful, frustrating emotions along with them. It was going to be pure, glorious chaos.